Welcome to Phrasal Verb Practice. This is the place to learn real English, one phrasal verb at a time. My name is Marissa, and I'll walk you through this learning journey. Hello, everyone. Trust you're all well. In today's session, we'll cover and practice the phrasal verb, come back. So let's start by talking about how we use the phrasal verb, come back, in real life. It has a few common meanings, and they're all connected. First, when we say come back, we often mean to return to a place. Basically, you go back to where you were before. For example, I'll come back home later. She came back to the office after lunch. We came back from the trip yesterday. Now, there's another very common use of come back. We use come back when something returns to a previous state or situation. So something stopped, disappeared, or changed, and then it appears again. For example, the pain came back last night. His confidence came back slowly. The memories came back suddenly. There's one more meaning that you'll hear a lot in conversations. We also use come back to talk about replying or responding. Usually, this happens after some time or after thinking. For example, she came back with a clear answer. He came back with a good idea. I'll come back to you tomorrow. So here's the key idea. In every meaning, something returns. It can be a place, a feeling, a situation, or even part of a conversation. Now, let's quickly connect come back to other languages. In Spanish, it's volver or regresar. In French, revenir. In Portuguese, voltar. In Italian, tornare. In German, zurückkommen. In Japanese, vodoru. And in Chinese, huilai. So, when do people usually use come back? People use come back when they return to a place, when something happens again, when feelings or problems return, when they respond to a message or a question, or when they say they'll give information later. Let's look at a few clear examples to review everything. I'll come back in 10 minutes, returning to a place. She came back to work after her break, returning to a place. The headache came back this morning, returning to a state. His motivation came back after some rest, returning to a state. I'll come back to you with the details, responding later. Now, let's talk briefly about how come back works in grammar. The phrasal verb come back is inseparable. That means we don't put anything between come and back. So we say, she came back home. I'll come back later. He came back with an answer. Here are the most common patterns you'll hear. Come back plus place. Come back plus to plus place or topic. Come back plus with plus answer or idea. And one important thing about pronouns. Because come back is inseparable, pronouns never go in the middle. So we say, I'll come back to you, not I'll come you back. Now it's time to practice. First, you're going to listen to a short text from everyday life. Then you'll hear another text in a professional or office setting. Are you ready? Let's start. I woke up earlier than usual this morning because my phone buzzed non-stop. I checked the time, turned off the alarm, and told myself I'd come back to those messages later. I needed a quiet start. I made coffee, opened the window, and just stood there for a minute. That calm feeling had disappeared for a few days, but this morning it finally came back. After breakfast, I realized I'd left my jacket at my parents' house the night before. It was cold outside, so I decided to come back there on my way to the store. When I arrived, my mom smiled and asked if I wanted to stay for a bit. I said I couldn't, but I'd come back for dinner if I had time. On the drive, an old song played on the radio. I hadn't heard it in years, and suddenly, a lot of memories came back. Long walks, late talks, simple weekends. It was strange, but comforting at the same time. Some feelings fade, but then they come back when you least expect it. At the store, I ran into a friend I hadn't seen in months. We talked quickly in the aisle, laughing about how busy life gets. She asked if I'd answered her message from last week. I told her I'd seen it, but I forgot to reply, and I promised I'd come back to her later that day. When I finally got home, I sat on the couch and felt tired all of a sudden. That heavy feeling I thought was gone had come back again. I rested for a while, drank some water, and slowly felt better. In the evening, I checked my phone again. I started replying to messages one by one. For a couple of them, I didn't have a clear answer yet, so I said I'd come back to it tomorrow. Before going to bed, I texted my mom and told her I would come back for dinner the next day. It felt good knowing some things always find their way back. Great. That was the first text. How many times did you hear the phrasal verb of the day? Now, let's move on to the second text. The day started with a quick team check-in. We reviewed priorities, timelines, and a few open questions from last week. Some topics needed more thought, so our manager said we'd come back to them after reviewing the numbers. That helped keep the meeting moving and avoided rushed decisions. After the call, I went through my inbox. A client had emailed late the night before with a concern about delivery dates. I read the message carefully, then replied to say I'd come back with a clear answer once I confirmed things with logistics. It was better than guessing and creating confusion. Mid-morning, I worked on a draft proposal. I wasn't happy with one section, so I stepped away for a bit, knowing I'd come back to it with a fresh mind. When I did, the ideas flowed more easily, and the structure finally made sense. Around noon, a teammate stopped by my desk. She asked about a report we'd discussed earlier in the week. I told her the data had come back from finance that morning, and we could review it together later. We scheduled a short meeting for the afternoon. During that meeting, a question came up that no one could answer right away. Instead of guessing, we agreed to come back to it after checking the system logs. That way, everyone stayed aligned and no assumptions were made. Later in the afternoon, I followed up with the client. I had the confirmed dates now, so I came back with a clear response and a revised timeline. They appreciated the clarity and quick follow-up. Before wrapping up the day, I reviewed my task list. A few items were still pending, but nothing urgent. I made notes on what to come back to first thing tomorrow. As I shut down my computer, it felt good knowing that even if something wasn't finished today, I could always come back to it with a clear plan. Great, that was the second text, and that's all for today. Thank you so much for following this channel, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.